Newsflash, Democrats and Republicans may actually agree upon something, the retirement crisis. That's what we're going to talk about on today's episode.
Great episode on the way today. I'm Walter Storholt alongside financial advisor Scott Dugan. And what a great first topic for us to kind of dive into here in this new year, Scott. Looking for some unity, something that Democrats and Republicans and everybody in between can hopefully agree on in this new year. And that's the retirement crisis. How do you define the retirement crisis, first of all, as this rallying point that we can all kind of at least get behind on trying to fix?
Well, and you're correct. I think it is. Hopefully, we can find commonality in today's world. But with really the retirement crisis, a recent survey went out, interviewed, I think it was 1,300 people, and talked about, hey, what's on your mind? And there's some age-old topics that are out there, but people are just feeling unprepared, uncertain, and just don't really know, how things are going to play out when it comes to retirement. And we're going to talk about the statistics that they came up with. I think were very interesting across all political affiliations. And I think the topics that we're going to talk about, like everyone that's listened to this, show before or just listened first time, you probably have thought about them or have had conversations about them. So I think it's very applicable to everyone that's in that, either close to retirement or in retirement. And so we want to dive into that and spend a few minutes talking about it.
Yeah, so you mentioned the statistics. One that certainly jumps out is that 81% had this sentiment of independence. 79%, it was 81% of Republicans, 79% of independents, and 78% of Democrats. So pretty much the same across all facets, agree that the nation is facing a retirement crisis. So about as good a consensus as you're going to get on any issue out there.
Yeah, very, very close. And I in previous episodes, we've talked about the turning 65, the wave that we're having right now.
So many people right now. Yeah.
So many people, reaching that age 65, either they're contemplating retirement, contemplating Social Security, contemplating Medicare. So a lot of things I think are out there in the world. And I think add on, we just had an election cycle. We've got, by the time this airs, probably the inauguration has happened. And so we've got 4 years of the unknown. And I think you've got a situation where if your political party is going to be in power, you've heard me say it, you're going to be overly optimistic. If your party is not, you're going to be overly pessimistic. Okay? And so the reason we're talking about these things today is everyone seems to agree that these are important.
Yes. Yeah. Our solutions might differ a little bit, but the identification of the problems are the same. You talked about the stats. I'm looking at one from this study and report that we're pulling from here, and researchers found that 74% of Democrats, 68% of Republicans, and 68% of independents said that their level of debt is problematic. So that's interesting. People are looking at that kind of personal level of debt and that it's keeping them from saving properly for retirement.
Yeah, and I think those numbers are probably skewing to potentially some younger generations, because that's where we're seeing the largest expansion of debt, personal debt. Now, we're fortunate in our practice, the families that we take care of. If there's a mortgage, that may be one of the largest pieces of debt that's out there, but largely in part of our practice, the people that we serve or the people that are attracted to us, that's not necessarily going to be a big issue. But across the country, on average, personal debt, difficulty saving, those are two things kind of go hand in hand for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Respondents to the survey and to the study were also worried a lot about inflation. And it seemed there was this common theme of being worried about the quality of life in retirement. So the stats break down this way for this one. More than half of Americans, 55% approximately here, were concerned that they cannot achieve financial security in retirement. And when it comes to inflation, 73% of respondents said that recent inflation has them more concerned about retirement. So more things kind of popping to the forefront of people's minds here.
Sure. And I think inflation, it impacts people differently and different socioeconomic classes. I can say that the younger generation, the housing prices being inflated
Yeah.
is an issue. Being able to be a first time home buyer, and then you couple that with interest rates where they are, especially with mortgage rates. Now, in the last few decades, these rates seem high.
Hmm.
Historically, they're slightly high. I mean, they're not
Everything's relative,
outrageous.
right?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about during President Carter just passed age 100. His service actually is this week as we're recording.
Yeah.
But the folks that were probably around in his period of time when he was president, you had record high, interest rates and housing, and so things have been a lot worse. It's just by comparison, but I could see if you're having to be a first time home buyer, having to buy a new house, have to be a purchaser of those things and on credit, yeah, inflation could be a big deal. I will tell you that in our plans that we put together, we do adjust for inflation over time. And we look at, we've talked about this many times, the go, slow go, and no go years.
Yeah.
Most of our clients are spending their highest amount of money or highest cash flow in that first 10 to 15 years of retirement. And so they're already going to have a much higher rate. And so they don't adjust their expenses or their spending every year by inflation. It's usually goes up in every 3 to 5 years. So yes, it definitely has an effect. It also depends on where you are economically.
Yeah. There were more findings in this study. Respondents to the service said that other reasons that they have some retirement anxieties are that it's harder to save, that they'll have to work longer, that they've been negatively affected by the economy or the stock market. And so these were just some of the other little things that started to pop up in the survey as to why people were feeling maybe some anxiety or viewing this whole retirement thing as a crisis. The other interesting thing here, Scott, was that guaranteed income in the form of like defined benefit plans,
Mm-hmm.
that was valued by everybody.
Yes.
81% of Democrats, 80% of Republicans, 76% of independents all said that they have positive views about things like pensions. And a lot of workers said that, everybody should have a pension in some way, shape, or form. The government should make it easier for employers to offer these pensions.
Yes, and we've seen that reflected in as we're meeting with clients and building plans, for the first time.
Yeah.
Is that because retirement is all based on your income and your cash flow. It's not this magic number. It is sustainable cash flow to be able to do the things that you want to do. And so if you've got 2 Social Security checks, those are 2 guaranteed income streams. If you're lucky enough to have a pension, that could be 1 or 2 additional income streams that are guaranteed. I mean, guaranteed by the entity, either the government or the company or the insurance company that's there. And so I do think when you have uncertainty, like we've experienced, certainly throughout my career, over 20 plus years of doing this, we've had, market corrections, market ups and downs, inflation, we've seen a lot of things. But there is a tendency for people to like predictability. They like guarantees, and they like to know that mailbox money, quote, now it's EFT to your checking account, is going to be consistent and dependable so they can spend confidently. And so it doesn't surprise me that, those numbers are this high. Now, I do know that they've changed some things over the last couple of years, trying to make it easier for people to be able to put a pension type piece into their 401k plans, retirement plans. So we'll see, with these high of numbers, hopefully, politicians, lawmakers will hear this and make it even easier for people to say, hey, you know what? When I retire, I hope I get my Social Security check, but it would be great if a part of my 401k that spun off a paycheck I could now live.
Is your retirement journey truly tailored to your needs? In his book, Exceptional Retirement: Tools and Strategies for Retiring on Your Own Terms, Scott Dugan addresses the crucial questions all retirees ask. Discover the power of a clear financial decision-making process that can prevent major retirement mistakes and unlock exceptional opportunities. In the book, Scott outlines 4 essential questions that guide retirees toward successful outcomes. Don't miss out on key insights that could define your future. Available now on Amazon. Click the link in the description of this episode to get your copy of Exceptional Retirement.
Speaking of Social Security, that was another finding in this, is that all parties support Social Security and want action on it now to protect those benefits. In fact, they agreed pretty much all the way across party lines in maybe the most unison of all the questions.
Yeah.
We're talking about high 80s to 90% in agreement with these kinds of things, that Social Security should remain a priority. And that they really want lawmakers to shore up Social Security funding and expect the next administration in Congress to solve the Social Security financial shortfall. So no pressure on the politicians out there, but yeah, this is something the whole country wants done.
Absolutely, and rightfully so. We spend years and years and years of our life paying into it,
Yeah.
and we want to receive a benefit for the money that hard-earned money we've put into it.
Yes.
And so it will be interesting to see, are we going to get real change, a real direction to shoring up some of the issues that we're seeing there. To this point over my career, there's been very little done to fix the problem. And part of this is we've got an aging demographic problem. And so we've got an older demographic. We've got the, peak 65 right now, and we've had low birth rates. And so we've got fewer and fewer people in the workforce, and it's money in versus money out. And so until we reverse several things, it'll be a problem. Now, it's not going to be a problem tomorrow, or maybe 5 years from now, but at some point there could be a financial issue. And like I said, time will tell if Democrats, Republicans, Independents step up to the plate, come to the middle of the aisle and actually do something for the American people. That would be a great day if that could actually happen.
Yeah, it certainly would be. I would say that, this is something we can hopefully all agree on as well across the spectrum, that financial advice and guidance is invaluable. And so if that's something that you're lacking in your life, if you don't have anyone, especially from a retirement planning standpoint or helping you see the full picture of all of your savings, if that's something that you don't currently have access to or great support in that arena, don't hesitate to reach out. In fact, Scott Dugan is a great resource based in Kansas City, but serves clients all across the country. And if you've got any questions for Scott, we've got contact information in the description of today's show, so you can find it whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the audio version of the podcast. Should be easy for you to spot. And we're putting that on the screen for our video viewers as well. So reach out if you've got any questions. If you'd like to go through the planning process, wherever you are in that spectrum, Scott's likely going to be able to at least help point you in the right direction, if not take you through the full-blown planning process to make sure you're on the right track, so that all of these concerns, which I'm sure are hitting high levels and high bullet points for a lot of our viewers here, Scott, and listeners, start addressing those, because these are the kinds of concerns you're going to alleviate in the planning process.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. A proper plan and ongoing planning is what mitigates these issues.
Yep. Absolutely. So if you want to engage in that proper planning, reach out to Scott. In the meantime, you can also throw a thumbs up on this video if you're watching on YouTube. And also don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And Scott, that's it for today. Thank you so much for the help.
All right.
We'll see everybody next time right back here on Your Retirement Elevated. Thanks for watching.
This video has been prepared for educational and marketing purposes only. The information in this video is general in nature, does not constitute personalized investment advice, and does not provide a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. All investments involve risk, and different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk. There can be no assurance that any specific investment strategy will be profitable or suitable to you. Additionally, although information presented in this video is believed to be factual and up to date, we do not guarantee its accuracy. You should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation and should consult a professional advisor advisor before implementing any of the strategies mentioned in this video. Investment advisory services are offered through Elevated Capital Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC. Registration as an investment advisor does not constitute an endorsement of Elevated Capital Advisors LLC by securities regulators, nor does it indicate that the firm has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Insurance advice and products may be offered by a third-party insurance producer, which may be affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC and Elevated Capital Advisors LLC. Walter Storholt and Third Wheel Media LLC receive compensation for their assistance in preparing and hosting this video.